Saturday morning. And that means it's time to catch up on the local and statewide high school sports scene. Welcome to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Good Saturday morning. It's the final Saturday of April for 2019, and you're listening to High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. I am Matthew Hatfield. We got Thomas Simmons, other side of the glass, and my cohort, the man wearing his AL East Division champion New York Yankees 2009 shirt, simply because he won't get to wear an AL East 2019 Division champion Yankee shirt, is...
I'm the coach, Ed Young, and I'm wearing it as a preview for things to happen later. I'm going to replace the 0 with the 1.
Yeah, later, like next year, Coach.
Yeah, a year from now.
It'll be in October.
Speaking of which, you like to kill my Diamondbacks. I don't know if you saw it. Chris Mad Dog Russo, Woof Woof, on High Heat MLB Network yesterday, did his top 5 teams in baseball, and he had my D-backs number 5. I'm not sure what he's been sipping on, but hey, we'll take it. We need all the love we can get.
It had to be an inside story there somewhere, yeah.
A lot going on in this edition of High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. And Larry King Law, Engineer in Action. You call 757-INJURED for Larry King. In studio, though, with us right now, and Thomas, this has got to go up on the social pages. Look at this awesome picture of Coach Young and yours truly. It is, in my opinion, the best artist in Hampton Road, I dare say, to state. He could probably win an art competition. He's the longtime head boys basketball coach at First Colonial High School in Virginia Beach, and a good friend of ours, Mark Butts, with us here on ESPN Radio 94.1. So gracious to come in studio with us. How you been, Coach?
Doing well, Matt. Doing well. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah, and you're also fresh off the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament, coaching in that. How many years you been coaching in that?
It's been a while. I started doing it with Eddie Webb. I can't even remember the years.
That's going back the older year.
It's been a long time, yes.
Wow.
Now I work with Mike Head.
Mike Head, former Ocean Lakes basketball coach, and neat to see you in here with this painting. How long did this take you to do? I'm curious.
Well, I work on it doing certain blocks when I have my upper art class and they're into their portfolios. That gives me time to work on it, and I work on it in the morning. I get to school pretty early in the morning, so if I worked on it straight through, I could do it in a couple of days.
Now, you were a great basketball player, to put it lightly, back in the day at Virginia Wesleyan College, now Virginia Wesleyan University. Records still stand there. When you were growing up, high school, college, what was your first passion? Was it drawing, art, or was it playing basketball? What was your
It was
first
art.
love?
It was art.
Okay.
I started at a very early age. My dad was a lover of animals, so I would bring home animal books from the library and then draw pictures of them for him. So I didn't really start playing organized basketball till I was 13. So I started pretty late by today's standards.
When did you know you'd be pretty good at it, though, in terms of the basketball part and then the drawing aspect?
I knew I was athletic. I could run and jump, but I wasn't very skilled. I actually, in all honesty, I rode the bench at First Colonial. I didn't play in middle school. Actually, back then it was junior high. I didn't play in junior high. Played rec ball. Went out for the team in 10th grade at First Colonial. Made the JV. Didn't really play a lot. The only reason I may have made the team was because my brother was on the varsity. So I guess the coach felt obligated to keep me. And I rode the bench in 10th grade year. I rode the bench my 11th grade year. And the summer going into my senior year, I refused to not play anymore. So I did a lot of individual work, a lot.
Who was the coach at FC back then? Was it the late great Leo Anthony at that time, or was he?
No,
after?
It was Pat Ricks was there as varsity coach.
Okay.
But my coach was Alton Hill. He got the job the very next year when I went up to varsity in 11th grade.
Mark Butts with us in studio, the longtime First Colonial head boys basketball coach, our guest, and also the artist. We'll have this up on the Twitter page in just a little bit, folks. You can comment on it. ESPN Radio 94.1. It's High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Thomas, he's got my facial hair down pat. He's even got Ed's gangster look down pat. The only thing Ed was missing was he didn't have one of his gangster suits on that day.
See, I'm so amazing, Tree, because I barely can draw stick figures. I got kicked out of art class every time. Now, I could do finger painting, and when you used to put your hand down and draw a turkey, you had the thumb was the head. Remember that? I did that for every class. So after a while, she threw me out of class a lot. So
I did that with my kindergarten class.
Yeah,
I taught elementary for 7 years, and
that was my level for doing some good art. That, and I can make collages, put a bunch of pictures, paste them together. Drawing what you just did there, I couldn't do it with.
Now I could teach you to draw certain things. It's a talent that you're born with. There's certain technical things I can teach you to make you a better artist, but it's a natural talent you're born with, and just like anything else, basketball, you practice, you probably get better, and you get better and better, and that's what you have to. Because my brother was actually my older brother was actually a better artist than I was growing up, but then he levitated towards boxing, and I kept going with the art.
Well, that's two different things, boxing and art. Wow, you couldn't get as opposite of that. Wow.
But he's drawn pictures of boxers, track athletes, basketball players. In fact, if you want to see some of Coach Butts' work or get in touch with him, go to Instagram, follow him on, tell me if I got this right, Coach, marks.art, and that's marks.art. And you'll see a lot of the sketches you have up there. Some spot on. In fact, I think you got one of a couple of the Lansdowne State Championship players up there, right?
Yes. One of the parents of a senior contacted me and asked me to do quite a few. I think I ended up doing like 4 or 5 for her. I mean, they can DM me on Instagram, and I do commission work, definitely.
So there you go. Marks.art. That's marks.art. The head boys basketball coach of First Colonial. And we're going to make him the official high school sports talk artist here on ESPN Radio.
By far the best in the area. We'll say state. Show me somebody better. I've seen his work right in front of me. Show me somebody better. Right now, he's the top. Now, Mark, have you had anything like enter in a museum or something, or anything on display? Any awards?
Yeah, I first started doing the Boardwalk Art Show when I first graduated from college. But then once I got a job, it was really hard to compete with those professional artists that go from show to show. They do all the outdoor shows up and down the East Coast. And when you're working, and the Boardwalk Show actually starts on a Friday when you're still in school, so it was tough to compete with them. But I can say, in about a half a year or so, I will be doing a lot more of the art.
Well, that's a nice segue because we have a breaking news.
Here you go, Thomas. Hit the breaking news button. There we go.
Did I spill the beans too quick?
No, we walked in. What's called a segue. You segued it right here.
Notice Mark just said that he'll have a little bit more time coming up.
Well, we've got him at, Coach, 267 career victories, and you've coached a lot of players. We'll get into this, too, in the second segment of the show. You've coached Plaxico Burris when you were at Green Run, football, basketball player. You coached Aaron Rouse, who's now in the Virginia Beach City Council, football, basketball player.
Aaron comes by
the
NFL all the time. He comes by at least once a week.
You coached some great players. Daryl Monroe went to George Mason. Austin Keenan comes to mind. I think we asked you when Lynn was filling in for Ed back in December, your all-time FC starting 5, which I know was tough for you. But believe we now understand that the 2019-20 campaign next season will be your last as the head coach. You're going into retirement mode?
Going into retirement from basketball as well as teaching. It'll be 39 years of teaching, 20-some years of coaching basketball. I can't remember exactly how many years, but want to spend a little more time with the grandkids, and like I say, concentrate a little bit more on the artwork and just chill out for a while.
Well, he'll get younger. He'll have lower blood pressure, less stress, less nerves. You'll get younger. That's what I hear when you retire. I can't wait to retire. Unfortunately, with my finances as they are, I probably got to go until I drop dead, and it'll probably be on the sideline.
And the toughest thing about that is that we started practice for Future League, and when you see the young players coming up, you go, "Oh my God, I would love to coach him for 4 years and all that." But at some point, because that will never end.
That's exactly. That's a good point.
Because there are always young kids coming in that you want to, and you have to cut it off at some point. So, but I like the young group that's coming up for Future League. As a matter of fact, we had practice last night. So
some second thoughts entering your head a little bit, like
no. I just just thinking he would be. Those would be some great kids to coach, but like you said, at some point you got to cut it off because the young kids always keep coming. We get older, but they stay the same age.
And you get excited. A lot of coaches say, "Well, I'm going to stay for one more year. I got these kids." But that one more year, there's some more younger kids, and then they might say, "Hey, Coach, man, this has been great. I hope you're going to be staying around a while." And you're thinking, "Man, if he only knew in my head, I'm walking out of here now." But it's tough, and you made a great point. At some point, you have to make that decision. And it's better to you make the decision than somebody makes it for you,
Yes.
or you're hanging on. You know, that's things I don't want to do. I don't want to hang on, and I want to hope that my health is good and I can contribute, and I'm still contributing. But with finances the way they are, I got to keep.
And you know, I don't want people to make a mistake. I still love what I do. I'm very excited. We start spring league next week at Kellum, the first, and I'm really excited about that. I love my classes. I mean, I tell people I got the greatest job in the world. My two greatest loves, basketball and art, and I get paid to do that. But you know, at some point you have to move on. Let someone else. It's someone else's turn. You know, 20-some, 30-some years. You
know, I got to ask you, one coach to another, veteran to a veteran, as you thought about this, and you're pretty sure, though I think you'll have some apprehensions as the year goes on. I think you could have a really good year, and that might make you rethink.
Yes. What
went into your thought process about all this, and did you consult other veteran coaches, family? Basically, this was a decision you made by yourself. What was your thought process on it, Mark?
I talked to my assistant coach about a couple of years ago and told him that I think, you know, I got about 2 more years and then I'll be ready to go. But it really came to fruition one morning. I get up pretty early. Matt knows when I text him, it's always pretty early.
Well, we're both up though, because I get the same text. I reply back. Well, a lot of times I'm up. So.
Yeah. And people can't realize I get up at 3:00 every school day. I'm at school by quarter to 6. Well over an hour before any of the other teachers start coming. It's just something I've always done, you know. And I woke up one morning and I was sitting on the side of the bed and I just said, you know what? It's time. It just came to me. I tell you what really happened was the Rams. I'm a Los Angeles Rams fan, and they were playing that night. And
the Chiefs game, was it that Monday night game?
It was a Monday night game, and you know, to get up at 3, I go to bed at 9 on a regular day. Can't do it during basketball.
Well, you probably had to go to sleep the first quarter of that game.
Yeah, I know, and I'm saying, you know what, I can't stay up to watch this game. It's time. It's time. And that pretty much that morning it pretty much set in that it was time for me to go.
I mean, that's unique. It's everybody. I always ask a lot of people because. For myself, I want to know when it's time, and I'll know when it's time. But I always like to ask people, when you were making this decision, what went into it? What were some things that affect you?
Everybody that I talked to that did it, that's exactly what they said. They said, you will know when it's time. And it just came to me that morning that, you know, I would like to sit up late one night and watch my Rams play. They're on the West Coast, so it's always going to be a late game.
Yep.
You know?
Tough to see them. Yeah.
And, I mean, everything I go to bed at halftime. Sometimes I will force myself to watch some things, late games at halftime. I never watch West Coast games unless they're on a Saturday night.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, when you got hired at FC, I believe it was June of 1998, you were obviously at that point one of the fresh faces. A lot of veteran coaches at that time have retired since. We've seen Walter Brower at Hampton retire, though he's still helping Eric Brown out at Hampton. Dennis Katufas has retired, moved down to South Carolina. Jack Baker, Bill Cochran, you know them from the beach. Bill Cochran and Jack retired a couple of years ago at Moore. I think you and Ed might be the 2 longest tenured coaches in the area right now. If I dig into the archives.
And now he's leaving, so I'm stuck out there by myself, looking like a fool.
It is it as the veteran. You know, Ron Jenkins, Tom Gonzalez, all these guys I coached against in the Beach District, you know.
Well, and Tom retired this year from Tallwood. So more to do here with Mark Butts. Give us a call if you want to talk to Coach from First Colonial. He also was the 2007 Eastern Region Coach of the Year, Beach District Coach of the Year, Virginia Wesleyan Hall of Famer, set the scoring record with 40 points in a game, over 1,100 in his career, and also a fine artist as well. Follow him on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram at marks.art. That's marks.art. More to do on High School Sports Talk. Don't go anywhere. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.
Now back to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Here's Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Welcome back to High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com and Larry King Law. Engineer next, you know who to call, 757-INJURED for Larry King. With Coach Ed Young, I am Matt Hatfield, and joining us in studio for a couple more segments, we have the head boys basketball coach at First Colonial, Mark Butts. What a career he's had, 267 wins. Resurgent year for the Patriots as they made the regional playoffs, also in the Virginia Wesleyan Hall of Fame class of 79, the 2007 Eastern Region and Beach District Coach of the Year. Give us a call at 757-687-9494. We'll get to you here in just a bit here on the program, 757-687-9494. And, Coach, let's chat about that for a second. You know, the Beach District's always very tough. Just in the past 2 years, Lansdowne went to state championship, but we've seen 4 schools go to states with Lansdowne, Cox, Salem, Green Run. Kellam's been knocking on the door. So many good teams. No, it's been a couple of lean years here for you, but the 6-game winning streak this year, you get the last seed in Region 6A, as tough as it was. Had to feel pretty sweet to get back in the playoff mix.
Yeah, it was great for the players. It got them really excited. You know, it put a little energy into the program. And you know, one thing I tell a lot of people, sometimes whether it's warranted or not, certain schools are known for certain type of sports.
Yes.
You know, First Colonial is not considered a basketball school. You know, there's soccer, baseball.
Well, your field hockey's been in state championships and won
every year.
Baseball won a region this past year, yeah.
But we do get good players. And, you know, and to me it's important that we get the players that come up through JV and go all the way through varsity. So it's like we're building. So we have victories. We look at games like, you know, from the beginning of the season to the middle of the season to the end of the season. Are we getting better? So we have those type of goals, but making the regionals was great for us. That was really good. So the kids are really excited going into next year.
And
a little momentum.
You graduated a couple seniors. One committed yesterday, going to play Division III ball at Hampton Sydney.
Miles Harris. Again, another guy I've known since 6th grade. You know, coming up through the program, always around, always in the gym, always around the program. So those are the type of kids that you really like. Those situations are great. Miles is a great kid. He's going to be a good player. His best basketball is ahead of him. As he starts to fill out and get stronger, he can shoot the ball. He's a stretch 4. I think Hampton Sydney is going to get a very good player.
And he'll get to be a teammate with one of his former Beach rivals there, and Chase Turner from Lansdowne. I know he's committed there already. So the guard wing on the state championship Eagles. And then you got some players coming back. This coming year, Shamar Yates, a junior. We highlighted him around Christmas time. Really caught fire and became one of the top scorers in Tidewater. And it allowed you guys to get that last spot, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, Shamar really came on. Hard worker. He wants to be a good basketball player, and he is a good basketball player. So his senior year is coming up. He's going to be very, very good for us.
Well, Mark, I got to ask you, through the years, you've had a lot of good players. Of course, you got another year with some players to finish out your career. Can you come up with 5-6 guys that would be your, I don't want to slight anybody, but your all Mark Butts team that stand out maybe right off the top of your head?
Yeah, you got some guys that really stand out, but Ed, like I know, you coach so many players. They all give you something, especially for that particular time period that's really great. So they're one of your great players. So it's kind of like your kids. You're like, which one's my best kid?
Yeah.
You don't want to
do best kid, but one that listens the most.
But for program purposes, I can come up with 5 guys. I think you got Plexico Burris, yes. The athlete that he turned out to be. Aaron Rouse is one of them. Could guard all 5 positions on the court. Will Brooks was another very athletic forward that played with Plex that got us to the regionals. At First Colonial, my second year at First Colonial, those 2 guys took me to the regionals. Darryl Monroe, the best passing big man that I've ever had. Passed like a point guard, played like a center, passed like a point guard. Very good. Dante Terry, a guy that came over. He transferred him from Kellam, ended up playing at the Citadel. He was great for it, got him play out of position. He never played point guard before and came over and played point for us. Xavier Blunt, who moved in from New Mexico, played for us, ended up playing college ball. He's playing professional in Australia. God, who else? It's so many that you know, how many is that?
It's probably about 7 or 8.
That's 7 or 8. Okay.
Best shooter I think that I've seen you have was Austin Keenan.
Austin Keenan, yeah. Can't leave out Austin Keenan.
Well, best shooter besides Mark Butts, I should say.
I don't know. I don't know if I had Austin's range. I didn't really have to have that kind of range because we didn't have a 3-point line when I played, so we really didn't take shots from out there. But Austin, you can't leave out Austin because if you saw Austin when he came in as a 9th grader, I actually saw Austin in a middle school also. So again, another player who came up, through the system, went to school with his dad. So I've known the family forever, But just a hard worker, and he would take off his shirt now. He looks like Superman. That's not the way he came in. He was just a hard worker. Matter of fact, at VMI, they told him to stay out of the weight room for a while. He was just getting so cut up. But tremendous shooter, great shooter.
When you had some of those guys, take Plaxico for instance. I know his main sport was football. Did you think all right, this guy's got a chance to be a pro? And as a coach, when do you know that moment? Ed can probably piggyback on this too because he's had some guys that have played professionally. When do you know, all right, that kid has that it? And how much as a coach do you have to really pull it out of him, or is it that's a guy that's naturally got it? You can coach him a little differently.
Some guys like a Austin who just worked hard and made himself there. Plexico, Coach Head and I sat down with Plexico in the 9th grade when he first came in the 9th grade, and we knew he would be playing on Sundays. He was just one of those guys that you just knew he had it. But the thing is, though, even though you can see it in him, they still have to have that work ethic to get better and better. He just can't walk in and sit down and, in 4 years I'm going, to Michigan State, and then after that I'm going to the pros. He still worked. He still worked very hard. He could play all sports. He was a baseball player, all-state track guy. So he was a multiple athlete and the nicest guy that, never had a problem out of Plex in high school at all. So.
And you make a comment of somebody like that, a pro, you see it. The key is they have to see it.
Yes.
And not, every kid's going to say, I'm going to the pros. You ask a kid in 3rd grade, I'm going to the NFL. But in terms of they see it because of the effort, time they put in, that work ethic. Because a lot of times people say, you've had some guys play professionally overseas. When did you see it? And I said, his work ethic was probably the biggest thing. Because we know you have to have a certain skill set.
Have a skill, yes.
But when he has that work ethic where you don't have to pound him over the head to get into the gym and work on his game, then you step back and say, this kid's going to have a shot. And his character, he's not in trouble. Like you said, Plex was a good kid. You never had an issue at him. His character is good. He's not spending time in school suspension, or he's out of school suspension, or he's skipping school, or possible fight here or there. His character is unquestioned. His work ethic is above everybody. He already has the talent. There's your ingredients. Of course, you got to have grades.
Got to have grades.
Because kids still don't get this. If you don't have grades, they can't bring you in. Back in the day, you could. Not now. They can't. And when coaches bring in troubled players, it can cost them their job in a heartbeat. Back in the day, as long as you were winning, that wasn't true. Yes. Now, look at the guys that are out of coaching because of some shenanigans that happened.
And with social media, it's like
that's it.
It used to be you had to read about it in the paper, or if something happened on the West Coast, we didn't really know about it.
You could keep it covered.
Now you know it instantly. Mm-hmm. You know it as it's happening.
As it's happening, right.
Well, I think it's made a lot of the coaches, veteran coaches like yourselves, that had to adapt to that, because otherwise it's the way you communicate with your players now. Otherwise, you don't get in touch with them a lot of times. We're talking with Mark Butts. He's the head boys basketball coach at First Colonial, our guest here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Also a famed artist. You can check him out on Instagram. That's marks.art, A-R-T-T. In fact, Ed, I look at one of his sketches up there. He's got Jaquay Allen out of Ocean Lakes High School, who went to Montana State defensive back, initially made his college choice on this show of Virginia Tech and transferred. He's got a sketch of Jaquay Allen. In fact, on his page, you see some other sketches. In fact, tell me if this is wrong. Is this a sketch, Coach? I could be wrong. Is that Dwight Robinson from Lansdowne? It looks just like him.
Dwight Robinson and his wife.
Oh my goodness, again, that is spot on.
Again, one of his basketball parents wanted to present that to him at the awards banquet. So she commissioned me to do that piece for him. I thought it turned out pretty good. It looks like Dwight.
Do you have a favorite couple of sketches that are up there? One or two? It can be someone that we may know, famous or not famous. Just could be. You got a couple of favorite sketches?
What I do every year is I have seniors Either they are my managers or they're in my class, and I'll ask them. I said, "Well, bring in a picture, and I will do a sketch, and that will be my." She's my manager. That one you just showed right there.
That one right here.
Yes,
Okay.
she's my manager this year. She did the video for us. I said, "Bring in a picture. I will do this. This will be my senior graduation present to you." I used to do drawings. I used to do pencil drawings, but pencil drawings take an extremely long time.
Shoot, looking at this stuff here, what you're doing here, how does that not take a long time?
That's just ink and water.
Wow.
Yeah, that's much faster than a pencil drawing.
Well, you'd see me with some ink and water. I can make some sketches.
Yeah, we don't want to see them. They'll be ugly.
It'd be all over the place.
It's just a matter of the amount of water you mix with the ink, so you get the different values, you get the different shades that you have to put in.
And you did one of yourself. Was that difficult to do, or?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult to do a self-portrait because of the way you look at yourself. But every artist down throughout time has.
Oh, that's Mark. I thought that was Denzel Washington. So that's who he saw himself. All right,
I saw myself as Denzel. Yeah.
All right, I got that.
One before we go to break, then we'll come back and do some fact or fiction with the head basketball coach of First Colonial, Mark Butts, getting ready for his swan song final season. They made a region playoff run this past year. We'll see what's in store for them in 2019-2020. They got spring league coming up at Kellum High School. Coach, now that you're going to be getting ready to finish up your basketball coaching, more of your time going to be devoted to some of these drawings and paintings, or have you given that thought? Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at doing getting your setup together, because when you do an outdoor art show, you got to have the stand, you got the canopy and all that stuff, and that's what I couldn't compete with the professional people who do those. You got the one in you got the art show in the Portsmouth, the Seawall show in Portsmouth. I did that before I first started teaching, because 2 years I substituted, and like I said, I did the Boardwalk Art Show. I've done some shows at MoCA, the art museum in Virginia Beach. We have a teacher show up now at MoCA, so I have a piece of artwork in that right now, and that runs through June. So I'm gonna definitely get into that a lot more. I also do paint parties for fun.
Paint parties?
Yeah, I've had people call me. I've done some church groups, some women's groups, and birthday parties. They'll call, and I supply the canvases and the paint and all. But a lot of mine are different from the ones that people go to the clubs and the bars and do, because as a teacher, I tell them at the beginning, it's your paint party and you're the customer, and I'll do what you want, but I'm going to teach. So we'll do landscapes, like we won't just do like a shoe or a bottle or something. I actually trying to teach them something while I'm there, but they're fun. So I'm open for those also. They're pretty fun to do.
You better hurry up and get on. Call in, get on Mark's schedule.
687-9494 is the number. 757-687-9494.
We get 3% of 3%. Keep us moving.
And
here.
we're going to use the sketch to make a shirt, the high school sports talk shirts that we're in the process of doing. We're going to use a portion of this. So one more thing before we actually go to break, because I wanted to ask you. You mentioned the all-time Ed did with your Mark Butts team. You got an all-time. It could be 1, 2, 3 guys that stick to mind of most impressive and toughest you had to go up against in your years in the beach of coaching. There's been a lot of great athletes that come through, and I'm sure leap to mind. Any 1, 2, 3 guys that stick out as like, I knew that guy was going to be special, spectacular as a pro.
The guy from Lansdowne that went to
Percy Harvin, is that who you're thinking of? Percy
Harvin was basically unguardable. Yeah, there's always some, and Coach knows this too in high school, because just at the level, there's always a kid that's we determined at the beginning in practice. You know what? This kid's unguardable, because you don't have the personnel to match up with him. Either the guy you put on him is too small, or the guy you put on him is too big, and he can't. And Percy was one. I saw Percy score 20-some points in a state championship game without taking a shot outside of the free throw.
I was there.
Percy's what? How tall is he?
He's not that big.
He's not.
He's 6 foot.
Yeah,
that.
And you say, well, okay, we're gonna make him go left. Well, you couldn't. He scored all of them going right.
That's the crazy thing. He seems bigger than what he really is. He's listed at 5'11", but you would think he's 6'1", 6'2".
I thought he was much.
That's what I'm saying. You would think it the way he played, but you hear that all the time in the NBA now. You hear that guy's unguardable. Harden's unguardable, or Durant's unguardable when he gets going. And I think it's hard for people in high school to concept and say, "Well, you got to zone him up or double team him," and it's not that simple. And especially in your level, when it gets to transition, the game gets going that fast. There's really no way to stop him except fouling him.
And, then you have the programs that you look back and you really respect for what they've done. Of course, Dwight Robinson stands on top at Lansdowne because he does it every year. Kellum, coach at Kellum, Coach Hassel at Kellum does it. And Cox, Bobby Wolf does it. Bobby Wolf does a great job with this program. So those are, the programs that you really look up to. And it's, if you can beat them, you feel satisfied walking away at the end of the night if you beat those programs. Just the ones in the beach. There are others out there, but
sure. Yeah. More to do here on High School Sports Talk. Don't go anywhere. Give us a call at 757-687-9494. We also got a former beach coach, Gary Spedden, head baseball coach at Grassfield, coming up at 11:20 this morning on the program. It's your home for sports, ESPN Radio 94.1.
Recapping another busy week of prep sports. It's High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Back here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. And Larry King Law, Engineer and Action. You call 757-INJURED for Larry King. Matt Hatfield here with the coach, Ed Young. Mark Butts, head boys basketball coach of First Colonial, gearing up for his final season at the helm of the Patriots. Our in-studio guest. We'll have out the picture. If you want to see it, you can see it right now on Instagram. Follow Mark at marks.art. That's MARKS.ARTT. There's 2 T's there. And it's time, guys, for Fact or Fiction. The trivia game that everybody loves in Hampton Roads and across the state of Virginia. And Coach Butts, to fill you in on, I know you listen to the show quite a bit. 2 weeks ago, it just means you're under pressure today, Danny Mitchell, the head baseball coach of the undefeated, and yes, still undefeated Hampton Crabbers. They beat Menchville twice this week, including rallying for victory. Pitched a perfect game in Fact or Fiction, which I think hadn't been done since Lynn Burke a few years back. So the coach is reeling coming off a loss, and he gets angry when he loses. So if you win today, you gotta quietly ease out and hope he doesn't try to hit you. So are you ready to play?
Yes, I am.
Here we go. We're going to ask 4 questions today, and then the 5th question will be the 2-point bonus question. Each question is worth a point. Whoever's in the lead must go first for the bonus question, and we'll alternate taking turns. And since Coach Mark Butts is our guest, we'll let him go first. And for those who don't know, I always root for Ed to lose in this game. Not in real life. I just want you to lose.
It's set up that way.
I just like seeing you
Thomas gave Mark the answers.
No, he didn't. Thomas don't even know the questions.
You just don't know the questions.
Here's question number 1. And today we're going to stay off the heights. We're going to do pro and NFL-based pro basketball questions, too.
No art questions.
Question number 1. No, we have no art questions. He'd sweep the floor with you. Wouldn't even be close. It'd be non-competitive. Yeah. Question number 1, Coach Butts. By scoring 50 points last night in L.A. against the Clippers, Kevin Durant did something that both LeBron James and Kobe Bryant never did, and that's score 50 points in a road playoff victory. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
I would say fact.
All right, Coach Butts says fact. Ed Young, by scoring 50 points last night in L.A. against the Clippers, Kevin Durant did something that both LeBron James and Kobe Bryant never did. That's score 50 points in a road playoff win. Coach Butts says fact. Do you agree or do you say, no, that's fiction?
I say fact.
He says fact, so you concur.
Yeah.
All right, Thomas, put a notch in the win column for both of them, or I should say a correct column there. It is a fact. Last to do it before Durant was Charles Barkley back in 1994. The list of guys to do it: Durant, Barkley, Elgin Baylor, Michael Jordan, Sam Jones, and Wilt Chamberlain. That's the list all time. 50 points in a road
I almost was going to go up because I like Kobe did it.
I was wishing you did. I was hoping you would.
You would think one of them would have done it.
Yeah.
Never done it.
Yeah.
So Ed is up for question number 2. It's a 1-1 stalemate. Question 2, Ed. This year's NFL draft had the most defensive players taken in the first round ever. That a fact or is that fiction?
Fact.
He says fact. Coach Butts, this year's NFL draft had the most defensive players taken in the first round ever. Ed says fact. Do you agree or do you disagree and say it's fiction?
I say fiction.
Thomas, Mark Butts says fiction. Ed Young says fact. Guess who's right? Coach Butts is right. It's fiction. 18 this year was one off the 19 from 2017 and 2006. And yet again, Ed is losing in this game. He is trailing. There you go. Coach Butts in the lead 2-1 for question number 3. Coach Butts, the Denver Nuggets play a Game 7. It's tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. 10 o'clock. It's the weekend. You can watch it, by the way.
Yes, I can watch it.
I'll get him my little rant about that, by the way. As I'm sure my dad will be, too. He's a big Spurs fan. Why is this game not moved up to 8:30 or 9? Nonetheless, Denver Nuggets, they won their last 7-game playoff series in the NBA. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
Fiction.
All right. Game 7, the last time he says they did not win it. Fiction. Ed Young, Denver Nuggets, they got a Game 7 tonight. They won their last 7-game playoff series when it went to a Game 7. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
Yeah, no, they won before.
They won before. They said they win their last one.
Yes, they won their last one.
So you're going to go fact, and Mark Butt says fiction. Thomas, put another point in the column for Mark Butts. It is fiction. The last time they had a 7-gamer, they lost to the Lakers in the first round in 2012.
Hey, I thought they won.
No, they didn't.
2012. What was the year when Mutombo?
No, that's going back. That was before 2012. Okay. The last time, not ever. All right. Okay. So Mark Butts is perfect game going right now. So Ed Young is up for the last question, question 4, and he's down 2. So you need this one bad, Coach Young. 1996 NFL Draft produced 5 Hall of Famers to date. 2 of them were Baltimore Ravens. Is that a fact or is that fiction? Thomas knows the answer to this one.
So they played at some point for Baltimore.
No. Listen to what I said. Question number 4. Repeat it here. 1996 NFL Draft produced 5 Hall of Famers to date. 2 of them were drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
One for sure. I'm going to say fact.
Ed says fact. Coach Butts, 1996 NFL Draft produced 5 Hall of Famers to date. 2 of them were selected by the Baltimore Ravens. You agree with Ed it's a fact, or do you say, nah, that's fiction?
I'm going to use my
lifeline?
tic-tac-toe strategy.
All right, tic-tac-toe strategy and try to block him. Is that what you're doing?
I'm going to say fact.
Oh, that's a good maneuver. It's also a good maneuver because it's correct. Yeah. It's a fact. Jonathan Ogden was chosen 4th overall, and Ray Lewis.
I knew Ray Lewis was
26th overall.
I didn't know the other one.
Ogden.
Yeah.
I knew Ray Lewis.
So, Mark Butts is perfect game going here. That's incredible. Now, the question is, are you ready for the last one to secure the victory?
I'm ready.
All right. Plaxico Burress.
Wait. How did he coach the kid? Hold on.
Plaxico Burress had more touchdown catches in the NFL as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers than he did as a member of the New York Giants. Is that fact or is that fiction?
I'm going to go fiction.
You're going to go fiction, that he had more with the Giants is what you're saying. All right, Ed, for a chance to tie him and save face here. Get a little gray save face. Mark Butt says it's fiction. The question was...
I got to take fact.
The question was, Plaxico Burress had more touchdown catches, his former player at Greenwood High School, as a member of the Steelers and the New York Giants. So you go fact?
I got to go fact, yeah.
And guess what, Thomas? Ed Young did it. He lost again. Mark Butts is a winner. 33 touchdown catches for Plaxico with the Giants, 22 with the Steelers. So
06-07, those seasons were huge.
Very huge. You're right, because some people would think it might have been the Steelers.
Thomas, 2 things. I want to go on a protest for this. Write it down. I'm going to send it to the GM. As a Plaxico question, and Mark is familiar with Plaxico.
Wait, I know
and number
Matt
2
brought up Plaxico, though.
And that music
sucks. Cardinal now, isn't he?
I'm protesting.
You know what? It's a good point. Did you hear what Thomas said? You don't even listen. You're just talking over him there, Ed.
What do you say?
Go ahead, repeat it there, Thomas.
Well, Matt wants to bring up Plaxico because he's on the Cardinals coaching staff.
Coaching
now.
intern with the Cardinals. Didn't know that, did you?
I didn't know that. Is he coaching?
Yeah,
But that was another part of the protest and that awful music. I couldn't concentrate.
The reason I went with fiction was because I don't think he caught as many touchdowns in his rookie years, early years, as he was when he was a veteran with.
It's good thinking
with the Giants. You know.
Well, it's under protest regardless.
It doesn't matter. You still get an L. You can petition to the VHSL to not change it.
Because my attorneys will be talking to your attorneys soon.
Well, my attorneys are quite familiar with your attorneys, and every time that you call, they hit the ignore button. So,
your attorneys, Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. Yeah, I got that. Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
We cheat them, all right.
At the end of next year, have your attorneys reach me at First Colonial.
I'm sure. Yeah, you'll be long gone.
I know.
You'll be at the art show in Los Angeles on that boardwalk. I can see
Somewhere on
that.
the East Coast doing an art show.
Well, Coach, thank you for stopping by. We really appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll see you around here soon, probably at the Spring League or at one of these camps coming up. And we always make it out to Virginia Wesleyan team camp. Look forward to seeing you over there.
Well, and I got to say I feel good because I'm going to play Mark in his last one.
We're playing this year.
Are you? Where's it at?
He's taking a trip to the river.
Yeah.
Oh, to the river.
First time?
No, you beat us there 2 years ago.
He probably cheated to do it too, didn't he? Knowing you, he probably cheated.
Yeah. So
I think it was it your senior night?
Well, no telling what he was wearing if it was senior night.
He had on a red suit.
Oh, he was Santa Claus. There you go.
He had on a red suit. Yes.
Yeah, he'll be coming, but this time it'll be December, in early December. So I'll have a chance to either be on the W side or the L side in his song year. So it'll be an honor to go against him though, because I got to tell you, Mark,
we've had some good matchups.
And I admire you to be able to say I can step away from the game. I'm mad because I'll say this, and I mean this sincerely. You still have a lot of years in you. You're one of the guys. We talk about guys leaving the profession. You're still one of the very few that does it the right way. Doesn't get caught up on fanfare. You coach kids. You use the name in front of your name, coach, is used by you strongly. And I hate seeing these kind of guys leave the game because it's killing the profession. And I've always said it's like when one of our pillars leave, it weakens. Because when you take pillars off of buildings, it weakens the building and eventually it falls. And we're seeing another guy who I think is a pillar of the profession. No, you don't have 5 or 6 state championships, undefeated seasons left and right. That's because you don't recruit. So the idea is you're leaving when you want to, but in my mind, you're leaving too early because you have a whole lot to offer these young men, and we need that. But I wish you the best. It'll be a joy to go against you next year. I'm going to be selfish and say I want to get that W, but it'll be an honor to go against you in your last year.
And Ed, I appreciate that because I know how you love the game. I know how you approach the game. I know how you think about basketball. I know how you think about coaching, and so that means a lot to me.
Well, I don't just throw words out there.
No, I know.
People know me.
Yes, I know that.
He means what he says, and he says what he means.
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean
not
that
bite his tongue.
There's a whole lot of guys we can have sitting next to me right now, and I would not say that on the way out of here.
No, and he wouldn't shake their heads when they walked out of here. Well, remember, Ed always says win or buy. So winner buys, unless Mark buys, then Ed buys.
Well, if I win, then no, because the loser has to buy. He was the guest.
Thank you, Coach. We'll do it again sometime soon. And,
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
I really appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
Mark Butts, head boys basketball coach and art teacher at First Colonial High School, gearing up for his final season, teaching and coaching in Virginia Beach with the Patriots. You can follow him on Instagram, marks.art. That's MARKS.ARTT, the 2007 Eastern Region and Beach District Coach of the Year, also in the Virginia Wesleyan Hall of Fame. Give us a call at 757-687-9494. We'll hear from Keontae Jenkins of Cox, headed to TCU, and we've got Gary Spedden, head baseball coach of Grassfield, coming your way on your home for high school sports throughout the state of Virginia. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Welcome back to High School Sports Talk here on a beautiful Saturday morning. I am your co-host, the Coach Ed Young, and of course, along with my partner, you always hear him just about every weekend, unless it's a weekend and I fire him. That's Matt Hatfield. And recently, Cox 4-star defensive back Keontae Jenkins made his college choice on Thursday, going to TCU, the Horned Frogs in the Big 12. Not a place too many kids from here have gone to. But my partner, Matt Hatfield, caught up with Keontae to talk about that. Let's hear it here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
All right, I'm here with Virginia Beach Cox 4-star defensive back Keontae Jenkins on a sunny Thursday NFL draft day. He's making his college choice, and it's the TCU Horned Frogs. Keontae, first off, congratulations. How's it feel to be a Horned Frog?
You feel good. You feel amazing. Yeah.
Been doing this 15, 20 years covering athletes in Virginia, and can't remember the last guy from the 757. Anybody's done it.
Yeah.
To pick TCU. A lot of good choices. Why TCU?
I mean, I wanted to set my own trend, and I fit the system well. It's bit 12. They build up all speed, and that's what I'm known for, my speed and technique. So, yeah.
What is it about TCU's systems and schemes that, besides the speed part, it appeals to you in terms of your game? It can maybe get you to the next level beyond that.
Yeah, how the way their defense is, they run like dime. They run a lot of DBs on the field, and I can play all over the field. I can play nickel. I can play nickel, corner, bounce back and forth for those, and I can play special teams too. Play one for special teams too. Yeah.
And speaking of some of the coaches too, it sounds like some of the smaller class sizes and the environment there off the field too fits you. What did you see off the field?
Off the field. What made me go there a lot was the off the field, like how the way the classrooms were smaller, they like 30 to like 40.
Okay.
I wanted something like that because I like learn better in like that type of environment.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't want to be like in a class where it's like lecture, like 100 students. I can't do that. So
what's that?
When there's like a classroom, when it's lecture, like 100 students.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What you want to major in yet?
Business management. Okay. Learning stocks and trades.
We've seen some of the videos, the speed, and even Coach Brian Graham and Coach Bill Chelsea talking about that you're maybe the fastest player they've ever seen and coached.
Yeah.
And we've watched that. What is it? How did you get that? Was it just naturally God-given born? Your older brother's a pretty fast guy, Levante Taylor. How did it come?
It was natural. It's natural. Just genes, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've got that competitive edge. I think that's a big plus for you. The mystery about you, the unknown, is the shoulder injury last year. You only played about, was it 4 games?
Yeah, it was 6. It was 5, and then plus playoffs, we played 2 games. It was 7.
Okay.
So I played 7 games. Yeah.
How hard was that watching not being out there? I mean, Cox, you guys still made it to the second round of the playoffs, had some good contributions. Oh, by the way, Tavion Robinson lit the world on fire for you guys. But how hard was that, and what did you learn in that time when you weren't playing?
I mean, it actually helped me boost my knowledge of the game sitting out because I watched way more film because I just wanted to be involved so bad. So I started like watching more film, trying to coach like other players up. There's in a position, like tell them how to make plays and things like that. So it really helped a lot.
What would you tell someone that's going to put on the film or watch it this coming year about Keontae Jenkins, the football player, besides the fact of, he's really, really, really fast?
Yeah, you're going to see like a lot smarter player, catching a lot more picks, things like that. Just playing more smart and just not playing off my talent, making like NFL type plays. Yeah.
What are the things you're trying to improve on in your game and the challenges that have been put out to you to go get as you get to the next level?
I mean, the one thing I'm trying to work on right now is just gaining weight. Yeah, gaining weight right now.
Do you have a guy at the college program that you try to emulate after, or you study their tape and try to put into your own play?
Oh, yeah. I look at Tyrann Matthews a lot and Jason Verrett. Hit him with the TCU. I look at those two a lot.
Who were the other schools that, you had, 23, 25 offers at the end of the day?
Yes.
Who were the finalists that got beat out by TCU?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really have no finals. It was just that I liked them and I just committed there. Yeah.
Older brother at Florida State, was he trying to nudge you at all? What advice did he give you through this process?
No, he actually wasn't trying to nudge him. He was just like, just go wherever you fit at and where you love. Yeah.
When did you know it was TCU? What was kind of the point where you said, all right, I got this figured out?
They was recruiting me since when I got the offer all the way to now, and just like the vibes they were sending when I was up there.
Last two for you, and thank you for your time. You know the phone calls are going to continue, the text messages, the DMs, all that. Yeah, they're not done recruiting you. Yeah, so are you going to listen to those calls? Are you 100% committed?
I'm 100% committed. Not taking any more visits or anything anymore.
Okay.
Lockdown. Yeah.
So you're shutting everything down pretty much?
I'm shutting everything down.
Gotcha. And lastly, what should we look for from, and what's your expectations for Keontae Jenkins, football player this coming year before you get to TCU and play your college football?
A player that makes smart plays and that just could put the game in his hands and make a play anytime the ball in his hands or anytime on defense offense anywhere in the field.
That is the future Horned Frog wearing the purple today for TCU, Keontae Jenkins, the 4-star out of Virginia Beach and Cox High School. Thank you so much. Congrats, and we'll see you soon.
You're welcome.
All right, that was Keontae Jenkins of Cox High School, defensive back. 4-star headed to TCU with his announcement on Thursday. It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Before we go to break, Ed, that was a little bit of a surprising pick. We teased it last week that there were some options for him. Auburn, UNC, Baylor, and TCU's the pick. Now, here's the intriguing part. There's a lot of whispers that a couple of other young guys, both that played with Jenkins at Bishop Sullivan before he came over to Cox, Aldrich Barlow, an offensive lineman, and Nakai Meredith, defensive back, could follow suit join him at TCU. So maybe TCU out of nowhere. Gary Patterson had a couple players drafted yesterday in the second, third rounds to draft on defense. Might be building from Texas a pipeline to Virginia. Who would have thought that?
Surprising. Really surprising. I can almost see University of Texas coming in.
Well, they got Matt Coleman for basketball, not football.
But for football, because first of all, there's a million great high school players in Texas, let alone in Deep South, that they can draw from. But then again, you go where there's players. When you have that high-level program as TCU is, you go where the players are, no matter what state it is. They got the money to recruit, and you got to compete at that level. So, no harm done.
We'll see what happens there. Hour one of the books, more to do here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Give us a call. Anything you want to talk about, high school, college, pro. High school is our specialty. Phone lines are open at 757-687-9494 right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Now back to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Here's Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Give us a call at 757-687-9494. We thank Mark Butts of First Colonial, boys basketball coach there, gearing up for his final season at the helm. Also, art teacher, in this awesome photo we'll have out on the Twitter page. And Keontae Jenkins of Cox, you heard from him last segment, football player, 4-star going to TCU. Don't forget, the NFL Draft comes your way right here on ESPN Radio 94.1, Day 3 in just a little bit. It'll kick off our coverage at noon when we're done here on ESPN Radio 94.1. Neat draft notes from last night. Ed, a couple players that played college football in Virginia. In fact, it was our poll question last night on the 757-6, who would get drafted first between Juan Thornhill and O'Shane Zimenez. Well, they both got selected. Juan Thornhill out of UVA and Alta Vista, going to the Kansas City Chiefs in the second round, 63rd overall. That's the second year in a row the Chiefs take someone from Virginia. Derek Nottie, the defensive lineman at Ocean Lakes last year. And then O'Shane Zimenez making history, the first ever Old Dominion football player drafted in the NFL draft, 96 overall, to the New York Football Giants. And they've done well with some small school pass rushers. You think of Hall of Famer Michael Strahan. He went to... what college? Do you remember? Do you remember? Texas Southern. O.C. Umenyiora.
Troy.
Yeah, he met Trojan Man. He met a Troy. And now they get Zimenez from ODU. So he'll be chasing quarterbacks. He'll be trying to bring down Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz and... who else?
New kid with the
Redskins. The new kid known as Dwayne Haskins. The new kid.
How did he drop
go get
that
the new
far?
kid, eh?
How did he drop that far?
Well, you thought the Raiders might take him at 4, didn't you?
I didn't. Yeah, we didn't need a quarterback. I thought Carr was our answer for the next couple of years, but we needed somebody behind him.
Now, I'm not sure any other local player who played high school ball in the 757 will get picked today. I'm holding out hope, keep my fingers crossed for a Ricky Walker from Bethel, defensive lineman, Virginia Tech. Maybe even a Chris Peace, UVA, who went to Denby, outside backer. It was one of the sack masters for UVA this past year. There's a couple of people that may have a chance. I'm thinking it's more likely undrafted free agent contract. Same can be said for Isaiah Harper, the kick return specialist for Old Dominion out of Grassfield High in Chesapeake. I do think ODU's Travis Fulgham out of Broad Run and Ashburn will get picked today, probably somewhere in the 4th, 5th round range, maybe even slip into the 6th. So we shall see. 757, go ahead.
The Thornhill kid from Alta Vista.
We covered him. Remember, he
won he's pretty good basketball.
5 state titles in high school, 3 in basketball, 2 in football. In fact, I put up on Facebook and Twitter last night my interview from our Cox Sports Report TV show we did with him 4 years ago, which I'm still so envious of because I was a lot skinnier back then than I am now. And it's amazing. He was a human highlight film during that state tournament and a really talented athlete. And we're seeing more, and I think this speaks to Ed. You know this as a high school coach. I think this is an interesting topic. You know, the specialization of one-sport athletes. We're seeing more and more multi-sport athletes. Think of a Grant Holloway at Florida, football and track. You think of this young man at Thornhill, played football and basketball. You can play multiple sports still, people, just because it's year-round now. The specialization of one sport, I mean, I don't want to say it needs to go out the window so much as it's like I think it needs to be less emphasized because stay active throughout the year. We got a kid like Taylor Malik Newton. He plays 3 sports really well: basketball, baseball, football. There's no harm in being good at more than one thing.
No, you should play what you can. See what you're going to be good at. If you're enjoying it, play it. I don't know if you're not going to give 100%, then don't play a particular sport. You know,
I get it. I know what you're trying to say, like in terms of just as a hobby. You want to be dedicated and committed to not just doing it for the sake of saying I did it.
And let's say you're really good in another sport where you could be a scholarship athlete. You know, then you would be, that would be more of a specialization situation. But no, by all means, as a high school coach, I'm saying this, you should play multiple sports. Now the problem is, with all sports being year round, how does a kid divide his time up? There's where the new issue comes in. As coaches, we're very selfish. We want all the players all the time. Well, when he's a multiple athlete, you can't expect that. And my answer to that is you give half and half. If you're playing 2 sports, and let's say the sports are practicing 4 days during the week in the off season, you give 2 to basketball, 2 to football. Using those 2 sports as the prime example, I don't see what the issue is with that.
Oh, the biggest issue is that your grades are on the uptick. You got to make sure
you better
keep that in order.
Yeah, if you're going to play multiple sports, you better be very solid in the classroom because your time is really given up in towards the athletics, and you can't put the cart in front of the horse. You've got to have the academics to play the athletics. So, but that's all the whole time is kids who sometimes don't really want to put the work in to be good. They just want to play. Well, you can't do that if you're multiple.
Right. You can't put the cart in front of the horse, but you can put the horse in front of the cart.
I would do that a lot.
All right. Just making sure.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you sit in the cart behind that horse.
What happens? Bad things?
There's a Seinfeld show that will tell you.
Oh, okay. I have to watch Seinfeld. Is it a squishy situation?
It stinks a lot.
Oh, okay.
It really just plain stinks. And Kramer. It was involved Kramer. So
Kramer. He's a strange fella. 757-687-9494. Here's a guy who's never a strange fella. Well, our buddy Keith from Smithfield. Keith, how you doing?
How you doing, Matt? How you doing, Coach Eddie? How you doing this morning?
Doing well. Did you watch Seinfeld as a kid, Keith, or no?
No, sir. I ain't never watched it.
You're like me. We watched other stuff like Night Court and Cheers and Sanford and Son and all the other good stuff. Coach, Monk, Miami Vice, Nash Bridges.
I love Miami Vice.
Miami Vice, a great show.
Yes, sir. I watched it.
Darn right.
When I was little.
When you were little.
Yes, sir. Also today, I was thinking about these local guys, like all the women married Devontae Dedmon and the kid from the Hampton Pirates.
You know what? Devontae Dedmon would be a great to see get drafted. I've not seen any mocks that have him getting picked, Keith. But you know what? We didn't see any mock drafts last year with Trenton Cannon getting picked from Kickingham, the running back out of Virginia State University, and he shocked us by going in the 6th round of the Jets. So Dedmon's been productive. He can make plays at wide receiver. He's overcome. I think he'd be a nice 6th, 7th round situation there. And if he's undrafted, I think he can make a team. I'm hoping he does. I really am.
There's another kid from Hank Toy, the guy that played at Hatfield University, the quarterback, Williams.
Oh, Delman Williams from Lake Taylor.
I wouldn't get anything going to get on the free agent draft. He's going to get on the free agent to get a chance at the NFL.
Probably a camp invites thing. I would say that's his best bet. I don't see him getting picked in the draft. And Delman's overcome a lot, too. Injuries, having to go the JUCO route, and then excelling at Hampton from there. So another young man that we're wishing the best. And, you know, maybe for someone like that, it might not be the NFL, might be a different football league, although we know one's now defunct here recently in the AF, that gets him that opportunity to accelerate and get a chance at the pro game. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for them. I'm not feeling great about it. I'm hoping my gut feelings are wrong, though.
Yeah, I got 2 more things to get up there.
What you got?
Looking at, we played this week. We played Jamestown. We were up 6-0. We were going back and forth. Jamestown scored a couple runs, and then they win 10-9. We was the game this Jamestown this week.
All right. When you say we, folks out there that don't listen to the show all the time, and we have a lot of loyal listeners such as yourself, they want to know who we. So you're speaking of Smithfield, correct?
Smithfield.
All right.
And that was baseball.
Baseball.
Okay.
All right. So.
And the other thing, the team watching about 4A, the Hanover boys, they're undefeated. Their softball team both are undefeated. If they can make a run to state,
Softball or baseball?
Both of them are defeated. Softball and baseball are defeated.
Well, their baseball's traditionally really
Yes,
good.
so.
I would say they have a great chance at both. I would lean more with the baseball than the softball.
Yes, sir. And last thing, Southampton will play Tuesday, and I might be going out there to see them play the Franklin Broncos
All right.
on Tuesday.
Cool. Give us an update. We're going to try to get on someone from there as well. Thank you for the call, Keith.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Have a nice day.
Real quick before we go to break and then bring in Gary Spedden of Grassfield. Michael in Norfolk, you're on ESPN Radio. What's going on, Michael?
I got a bone to pick with Old Dominion.
What's your bone?
My bone is this. If you give a women's program $1, they get you results. They win, they graduate. The men's programs, I think if they don't win, they don't graduate, take away money. Put it in the women's program. My God, Wesleyan and Christopher Newport are ranked in the top 5 in the nation in softball.
Yes.
But yeah, we can't get a softball team and Old Dominion with the talent we got from this area. Start taking away money, you'll get better results. Just like your show. You don't produce results, you don't get on the air. I'll take it off the air.
All right. Thank you for the call, Mike, and not mincing words at all there. What do you think, Ed?
First of all, we must be doing something. We're still on the air.
We're still taking us away.
Yeah, that's good.
Woo!
And
glad I don't work for. I mean, I appreciate Mike's passion, but I got it for him. He might have me under a tow truck and smashed.
Mike's general idea is very simple. If you put money into a program, they have to produce. Okay. But you're going to put money into all kind of programs. Now, remember, there's only a couple programs in most all college athletics that makes money: football, basketball. So those two are going to get the money.
Fairly or unfairly, that is the reality of the situation. But I do hear what you're saying. It seems a little unfair. It's where we are. Coming up next, we'll talk some baseball with the head baseball coach of the Grassfield Grizzlies. Gary Spedden got career win number 400, and his team always a factor in the Southeastern District and in Class 6 Region A. Well, that'll be coming your way next right here on High School Sports Talk. Don't go anywhere. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.
Recapping another busy week of prep sports, it's High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Welcome back to High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. With the coach, Ed Young, I am Matthew Hatfield. And Ed, we have a special guest with us, longtime baseball coach in the area. Some of you know him from his days at Ocean Lakes and Green Run and molding a lot of baseball players over the years. And now the head baseball coach of the Grassfield Grizzlies. Picked up a milestone last week, career win number 400. We say good morning and congrats to Coach Gary Spedden. Gary, how's your weekend going so far?
It's doing outstanding. Thank you. I hope yours as well.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the program, and congrats on that milestone 400 wins. What did it mean to you last week?
It gave me a chance to reflect on all the young men and coaches that I've been blessed to work with. In this business, I've been blessed to do it a long time, and I'm just thankful for the opportunities. And, it was good that a lot of them have reached out, and, it just is about relationships, and it's just special that way. And I'm excited for, what we've accomplished over the years, and hopefully we've been positive with those kids.
Oh, no question. So many memories, I'm sure, and stories you can share with us, beating East Syracuse, Manoa out of New York, and we'll get into your district and key players in a moment here. But when you started, did you think that you'd be doing it so long you'd have a chance to win 400 games?
No, I don't think so, but, anything's possible, I guess. I started way back in '88 at Lafayette High School on Old Peninsula District, and I was really fortunate that I had a great mentor in Coach Glenn Russell, who's a basketball coach at Hampton High, won a state, and was at Christopher Newport College. He was teaching and coaching golf at Lafayette, and he kind of took me under his wing and showed me a lot about coaching, and I'm just grateful that he did that.
Hey, Gary, Ed Young here. Congrats, 400. We just had Mark Butts, basketball coach from First Colonial, in the studio for a while, and he made the announcement that this upcoming year is his last. So us veteran guys are kind of dropping by the wayside. So you don't have no announcements for us, do you?
No, other than congrats to Mark on a great career. I was fortunate enough to be coaching at Green Run when he was there working with Mike Head, who's now down in North Carolina. Well, so I've known Mark from those days, and now at this point, I plan to keep doing what I'm doing.
Good. And then the reason I wanted to put that in there was, give us a Mark Butts story. He's off the air. He's gone. He doesn't have the radio on, so there no holds barred.
Well, holds barred, though. That's the problem. My Mark Butt stories probably are not suitable for the radio.
He's too straight.
Mike Head's probably laughing at this point if he's listening. So, anyway, Mark's just a great guy, and, I have nothing but respect for him. And, I'm sorry about what I did with that newspaper article that we faked, Mark. My apology to you. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, so there's some shenanigans were pulled on Mark.
Yeah, just a little bit. Back in the day, sometimes, in this coaching circle, sometimes those things happen amongst coaching pals. So, anyway, it's probably better left at that. I appreciate it.
You're telling me you can't say any Mark Butt stories. I can imagine about Mike Head stories.
Yeah, I can't even come close to going there.
Yeah, the FCC would pull us in a heartbeat on the Mike Head stuff. No question about that one.
That just shows you how long I've been doing this.
Well, let's get into your background. You mentioned some of it. You grew up in, obviously, coached at Lafayette. I think you started, was it in the Richmond area where you grew up in?
Correct. I grew up in Henrico County. Kind of an unusual story. I was golf and baseball. Both were spring sports back in the day. That's how far back I go. And anyway, I was a decent baseball player, but I was probably a better golfer. Our baseball team was very good at Henrico High School, and I, like most kids, would have rather played than sat, so I played golf in high school. And then I coached golf. I was fortunate enough to volunteer to help out at James Blair Middle School with a guy named Dan Barner, who was recently the athletic director at Lafayette.
Yes.
So I started volunteering with Dan when he was coaching basketball at William & Mary, back when they had the restricted earnings coach, I think. But anyway, so I got involved coaching baseball that way. And so I really don't have a baseball background other than, playing myself a little bit and just being a teacher and learning what I could about the game and just picking up things along the way. So I'm your atypical story here is, I didn't play in college and, I didn't get drafted or any of those types of things. So I was at Lafayette for 5 years, and then I came to Green Run because I was married and commuting from Virginia Beach, and my daughter Megan was born, and I just didn't have enough time with her. So I went to Green Run for 2, and then followed Jerry DeVinny, great principal at Ocean Lakes. I was there for 20, and now I've been here at Grassfield this was my 5th year here.
And you were well entrenched at Ocean Lakes. Going to Grassfield, how easy, hard was that decision for you? Any difficulty with you? Did you wrestle over it?
Sure. I'd been at Ocean Lakes since it opened, plank holder. But I was at that stage in life and career that if you wanted to make a move at some point, it was probably the right time, and I felt like the right situation. And, I've had good years at Grassfield, and I'm just thankful I had that opportunity.
We're chatting with Gary Spedden, the head baseball coach of the Grassfield Grizzlies, our guest here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Coach Spedden recently got his 400th career victory, and the Grizzlies trying to make a push towards the postseason in Region 6A. Ed?
Hey, Coach, let's do this. Currently, right now, what is your record right now?
We're 10-4.
Okay, that's what we had you. We wanted to make sure. 10-4. You had a slow start. Youngsters finally hitting the ball correctly?
It's a mixed bag. We got off to kind of a mixed start. We had a good win against Great Bridge, followed by we got spanked by Nansemond River, and then we had a rough stretch where we lost 3 games pretty quickly, and then we bounced back a little bit. So it's been a little bit of a back and forth year, but I think there's a lot of balance in the Southeast District, and a lot of good teams, and people are beating up on each other a little bit. We've split games with several teams here in our own district. So,
well, before we get into your team, let's piggyback on that because this has come up before in discussion here on the air. We've talked with Danny Mitchell from Hampton and Roland Wright from Western Branch. Baseball in the Southeastern District is an adventure. There's no real easy game, and you're playing guys right off the chute.
Yeah, it's very competitive, and you've got to be ready to play. And if you're not ready, you're going to find yourself on the wrong end. Roland always does a tremendous job, and there's just a lot of outstanding programs, and that's true and to me in Tidewater in general. I'm sure the beach coaches, I coached there for a long time, will tell you the same. And, Danny probably says similar things about the peninsula, et cetera. So, you guys have to be ready to play, and people are going to come at you.
Well, like I said, you've kind of righted the ship. You've got 4 in a row. You've given up only 2 runs over that time. Pitching seems to be stepping up. Let's go over some of these youngsters you have on the squad who are doing the job for you.
All right. Usually when you're doing well, your seniors are doing well, and we've done that. We've had some kids make big steps in the right direction. I guess the most obvious would be on the hill with a young man named Don Parker McDonald, and he struggled with his control and his confidence last year and didn't get that many innings, and this year he's kind of put it together. He's thrown a couple of no-hitters. He's 6-1 plus a save. His ERA's under 1, and he's been a big part of our success. But we've also had several other young men, Logan Scanlon catching, and Connor Hall in the infield, Jalen Gibson in the outfield. They're all hitting over 300s and providing senior leadership. So we've had several of those young men step up, and I think most importantly, they're stepping up some off the field. We've had a couple down years, and it's easy to get to a point where things can get negative and people backbite and people resist what you're trying to teach, and they've really done a good job. We've really focused on that side of things, and we put them through some difficult training in the winter. We were outside a lot when it was cold, and we're running stadiums when it's 30-some degrees, and we did some things a little bit differently. And I remember one of those nights, and it's chilly and nasty, and they're tired, and I think I can say this. One of them said, Coach, this sucks, but it doesn't suck like losing. We're not losing again. And it's that type of mentality that they've kind of bought into, and we've kind of developed a philosophy based on a thing called SCORE. We want our guys to be S, selfless, C, committed, O, open, R, resilient, and E, energetic. And if we can control those things. And if we control those things, then the outcome generally will take care of itself.
Chatting with Gary Spedden, the head baseball coach of the Grassfield Grizzlies, who are sitting at 10-4 on the season. Our guest on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Up next for the Grizzlies is a road game at Kings Fork coming up on Tuesday, so all you Grassfield fans go out there and support them on the road as we get closer to the playoffs. They have some games still on tap with Deep Creek, Indian River, Western Branch, and Oscar Smith before the region tournament. And last year, Coach didn't get in the region tournament. I think that speaks to just how competitive Region 6A is, but look to be there this year. And a nice article in the Virginian Pilot today by Larry Rabama on your pitcher, Don McDonald. You mentioned 2 no-hitters this year, 65 pitches in one game, 51 for strikes. And every coach sort of says to us when we get him on the show that dominant pitching can take you through. So how confident do you feel now that the way he's pitching, if you get in, you got a chance with him on the hill?
Well, you certainly have to feel that way, but our focus obviously is getting in. Baseball is a brutal game sometimes. There are times where you get beat 1-0 in a game where you're confident that you're going to win. The word upset isn't really used in baseball.
Right.
So in my bunches of games, the high of winning those is incredibly high, and the low when you lose one of those is terribly difficult as well. But our focus at this point is getting better on Monday to win on Tuesday, and then we hope to address the playoff situation down the line, and it's going to be incredibly competitive for whoever makes it.
Hey, Gary, some of those kids that you mentioned, especially your seniors, as well as some of your underclassmen, anybody getting strong looks for that next level?
Dom's going the junior college route. He's kind of been a late bloomer. I think that's a smart move for him. We had a senior last year do that, and he ended up Ryan Shavers. He's going to be at George Mason after a year of junior college. Connor Hall is committed to play at Virginia Wesleyan, following in the footsteps of Austin Obenauer, who is one of our grads who is a starting, I think, third baseman for them this year. A couple of the other guys are focusing on being students, and there are a couple that are still waiting to see. And then some of our younger guys, the whole thing with recruiting sometimes, it just happens so quickly now. It's just incredible. Sophomores and in some cases freshmen are committing Division I, and I think that there's a good and a bad with that, and I think a lot of them have aspirations to continue to play at the next level, and it generally tends to sort itself out. So we'll wait and see with a lot of our younger guys. We play several sophomores who, we think have tremendous amount of potential as well.
I was going to say the last question for me would be any youngster that you have that you really weren't counting on at the beginning of the year, new kid trying to learn the ropes, but all of a sudden he's coming up strong. You got one that's standing out like that?
I don't think that we have one in that, we played last year, we were ridiculously young. We played like 4 freshmen. So they've grown up to be sophomores and they're getting opportunities. And, for the most part, it's up and down a little bit, but the experience of having been there and been through it and then following the leadership of the seniors, gives them a chance. It's a lot easier once you've been there after your freshman year and now you're playing varsity again. The game's not quite as quick. We have several sophomores, and off the top of my head, I'm afraid I'm going to skip somebody, but, we've had Logan Webster and Adam Nebrega and Bobby Reed, and we've got Caleb Brock, Aiden Feather. All of those young men are sophomores who've been playing and played some for us last year as freshmen. So I think there's just been this growth as opposed to this exponential leap. I think for the most part, we've been more of that, a progression for most of our players. Dom, again, has been the one who's taken off, and I think that's been because of his focus on baseball. He's a good athlete, and he's played football, he's played basketball before. He decided to focus on baseball, and I think we're now reaping the reward from that.
Coach, we'll get you on this one. We thank you for the time and look forward to getting you back on the show sometime again here soon. Sort of remove yourself from the picture, if you will, and kind of give us the assessment of the teams in your region and the district. I know that you're obviously focused on what's up ahead for you, your next opponent, and the district schedule, but who are some teams we should be watching out for come playoff time, be it out of the Southeastern District or in Region 6A, in your opinion?
That's a tough one. There are a lot of people. There's about a dozen teams in our region, and I'm thinking that, there's probably 9 or 10 of them who have a solid shot of being into the region. And, as you mentioned earlier, with a legitimate arm on the hill, if you get in it, you got a chance to win it. There's a tremendous amount of teams, obviously Western Branch with their playoff experience on this side, it has been extremely good. You've got, what Robbie Butler's done over at Granby. Woodside's traditionally strong on the peninsula, and the beach has probably 4 or 5 schools. You got FC, Kellum, Cox, Ocean Lakes. I'm sure I'm going to forget somebody along the way. Did I get FC already? Kellum, Cox, Ocean Lakes, and there's got to be somebody I'm skipping, and they'll bite me for it. But anyway, I couldn't focus on a single school because, like I said, there's 8 or 9 schools at least that are all winning and are all dangerous. And, it's going to be a war once the playoffs start. And again, I think you may be one of those years where you look at it and some people will say it's an upset, and the baseball people will say, hey, with that guy on the hill, he has a shot against whoever he draws. And I think you'll see a lot of that happen here in 6A. I think it's going to be very interesting as it comes down the stretch.
With, I think, a lot of evenly matched, competitive, and intriguing matchups as the region playoffs get going. May 25th is what I'm seeing, and they'll conclude at the end of May. Should be a lot of fun, and the Grassfield Grizzlies hoping to be one of those teams in contention. Coach, again, congrats on the 400th win, and wish you all the best the rest of the way, all right?
Hey, Quante, Tallwood. I knew I
Tallwood.
was forgetting somebody.
You got him in.
The fall, and they spanked us. Joe does a great job. He got the 200th the other day.
Yes.
And they're legit. They are legit. I'm sitting here in my car, and I didn't have any notes on that. So, Joe, hey, you know that I respect you and you guys. And like I said, we saw you in the fall, and once again, they're a legit squad. And, I think it's going to be back to anybody playing anybody. I'm not sure anybody's looking ahead to say, boy, okay, we'll be okay, because it's going to be wars. But I appreciate you giving me the opportunity today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach, and we'll talk soon, all right?
All right, take care. Thanks.
Good luck, Gary.
Gary Spedden, our guest here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1, doing a fine job at Grassfield. Got his 400th win, and had to give a little shout-out to Joe Agreste at Tallwood, his 200th win there. And that's a team that could be a dark horse. So a lot of teams in 6A, that's going to be one of those deals, Ed, where I think you take away the seeds and you just wipe them away, because I don't think a 1 versus an 8's a true game, or a 2 versus a 7's a true what the seeds say.
He had a great point, and it's the one sport. Maybe your team may not be a great hitting team, but you got a really, really good number one ace. And if he's on that day and he's silencing the opponent's bats and all you need is one run, there it is.
Listen, you think of a team, and these teams are teams that can win a state title, a First Colonial, a Western Branch, a Cox, a Granby. You think they want to see McDonald in the first game in the quarterfinals, and he's thrown 2 no-hitters this year?
Yeah, he's already thrown 2 no-hitters.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to no-hit them, but you don't want to see him in the first game, so should be a lot of fun. We got a couple more segments to go here. Give us a call, 757-687-9494 on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on Ed Young's favorite radio station.
ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
That's right, High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com and Larry King Law. Injured in an accident, you call 757-INJURED for Larry King. Been a jam-packed show. We've had in Mark Butts in studio, First Colonial basketball coach, art teacher, member of the Virginia Wesleyan Hall of Fame. Interview with Keontae Jenkins, Cox Falcons defensive back going to TCU for the Horned Frogs. Gary Spedden just joined us, head baseball coach of the surging Grassfield Grizzlies, 10-4, a team you got to watch out for in Region 6A and the Southeastern District in that loaded league, Ed, for baseball and the playoffs for baseball, softball, soccer, all the good stuff coming in May. We'll be hitting that hard and heavy here, hot and heavy, as they say, as we turn the calendar next month to May. We're also hoping to be out at the Hoop Group Southern Jam Fest at the Boo Williams Sportsplex. We like going out there every year. It'll be May the 17th, 18th, 19th. That's Saturday the 18th. We're hoping to be out there for the show for that. We've had a number of neat guests over the years. You think of Jay Billis and Tim Legler. And last year, in fact, Jalen LeCue we interviewed, who's figuring to be a lottery pick in a couple of years in the draft. And we interviewed Shaq's son, Sharif O'Neal, last year, too. So a lot of fun people that go out there for the Hoop Group Southern Jam Fest. And we can't forget about our buddy Steve Keller from the National Recruiting Report as well. Phone lines are open at 757-687-9494. Give us a call, 757-687-9494. NFL draft coverage coming your way in about 10 minutes or so right here on ESPN Radio 94.1. Day 3, who else from the 757 of the state gets selected? Speaking of one of our 757 products, did you see last night was Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s debut? And no, he's not from the 757, but did you see that? Toronto Blue Jays.
I've read all the hype all week about it. Went on MajorLeague.com. Maybe the most hype player appearance by a rookie since Steven
Strasburg.
There was a lot of hype about him. Now he's leveled off to a somewhat above average pitcher at best.
Well, did you see his at bats? Did you see his second at bat? His second at bat, he gave it a ride to deep left field, and robbing him a home run was Chad Pinder of Poquoson. That's how a Bull Islander gets it done, baby. As the Oakland A's kept him from getting a home run in his debut, Chad Pinder out in left field. So he gave it a ride, and then Pinder got himself a highlight from keeping Guerrero going yard or getting at least a double, because it was right there against the wall there when he sent it to left.
And speaking of Major League Baseball.com, they selected, I think it was 5 or 6 guys, under-the-radar rookies who will probably win Rookie of the Year. Guess who one of them was?
Brandon Lau, Tampa Bay Rays.
Tampa Bay. They put his name in there saying
from Nansman River.
Kid can hit. He's playing multiple positions, and the Tampa's winning.
Who I heard has deleted your number out of his phone, which is why he's not coming on now.
Well, if he
got tired of you texting him and bugging him.
If he's done that, I got some high school stories that will get him out of Major League Baseball. And now he was a great kid. Great kid.
I'm sure. We had him on a couple of times last year. We're glad to see him doing so well. He's become that big bopper, that power guy, as Tim Kirchin talked about with us, that you don't see players like that get that type of money early, but you see oozing with the potential, and he's starting to flourish here for the first place AL East leading Tampa Bay Rays.
For the time
that
being.
Feels so nice to say, just to stick the needle in
time being.
It might be that for a while.
I would tell Brandon if he was sitting right next to us right now.
I know you would. With your Evil Empire shirt you got on right now.
I would give Brandon a Yankee shirt. Remember
and
now
he would throw it in a trash can.
remember what he told
give
us
it
once
to,
upon
give
a
it
time.
to an orphan or somebody?
Growing up, he was a Yankee
He
fan.
did tell us that.
Okay.
I was saddened to hear him say that.
He's
but
not a
he
Yankee fan now, but he was at one time.
Well, you know what? He can give his kids one day that 2001 World Series DVD. I got an extra copy if he wants to give it to them. 757-687-9494 will get you in here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. What else you got to say? When you point at me like don't do the little weapon point at me because you do that. It makes me nervous.
We have a question online or something about why doesn't Old Dominion have softball? Because somebody brought it up.
I don't know that do we have that question online, Thomas? We might have.
Oh, it was a caller. We got a caller.
Well, caller did, yeah.
Silent caller.
Dominion softball.
Yeah, but we didn't run the question.
And the prospects
we could
of it
run this question. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, the bottom line is
your take. Go ahead. Ed Young's take. You have the microphone. The floor is yours.
I guess what they're asking is why doesn't Old Dominion have girls softball?
Women's softball.
Women's softball. There's not a big need for it right now. They're in an area where they can recruit very well, and I'm sure they can recruit nationally for softball if they had it. But the school hasn't elected to have a team right now. You have to have a certain amount of sports to be Division I. Excuse me. Money has to be equally divided in terms of ratio, men and women's programs. I'm not sure they'd have to eliminate a men's program to add softball. Sometimes schools have to fight with that idea. They hate to eliminate, to add. But if there's a strong urge for it, and this is a good softball area.
It is.
Then I could see them easily add it. But it is costly. I mean, when you put a new program in, scholarships, coaches to be hired, facility to play, but they do have baseball. So it would be very likely you can add softball.
Well, let me ask you this question. Do you think, this because the caller brought it up, Virginia Wesleyan, back-to-back national champions there, Coach Elliott and CNU softball doing great. Do you think if it happened, would it have, even though I know there's a Division III, would it have an effect on those programs in terms of the recruiting element, getting some of the players? Yes, no,
in
a little bit?
In the short term, yes, because what will happen, and I'm not sure how many full scholarships Division I softball gives out, but some of those top women that Wesleyan and CNU are getting, they might be encouraged to come over to Old Dominion kind of as a quasi walk-on, some scholarship money type, playing with that idea we're D1.
Which is odd because you would never think that a Division III would be affected by a Division I when it comes to basketball or football or even in some respects baseball, but you do in the case of softball there, which I actually see your point to that. I do.
Yeah, that does happen in that way.
I do think those programs, but the coaching staffs they have and the success they have, they could readjust, but it would take some readjusting on their ends too.
And I still think they would be top
they'd be
in
good.
the country at Division III
but
level.
they might lose out a couple of players they would ordinarily get.
Yeah, it's not going to whitewash their whole program, no, but I think there would be a couple young ladies who would probably look a little bit harder at an Old Dominion. Yes, because it's Division I and maybe a little bit more money, scholarship money towards them. Because remember, Division III is grant and aid. It's not outright scholarship money.
We got about a minute left. All right, Game 7 tonight, guys. Let's do our picks. We'll have to retally these NBA playoff picks. Thomas, you first. Spurs or Nuggets tonight? You took the Nuggets to start, right?
I'm going to take the Spurs. I'm going to take Pop. Can't go against Pop in a Game 7. That's just bad. That's bad business. So I'm not doing it.
I agree. Is that game at San Antonio?
It's in Denver.
It don't even matter to me.
Doesn't
it can
matter.
be on the move.
Okay,
I'm
Thomas
taking Pop in a Game 7.
Strong with Pop.
So
Pop.
He does a switcheroo. You had Spurs to begin, didn't you? I think you did.
I think I had Denver in 7.
All right. Well, then you're changing it. You're going to Spurs now.
Nope. Stay with Denver in 7.
Oh. Jamal Murray, is he healthy? I don't know. I'm going to go Spurs in 7. That's what my initial pick. I'm not
switching. Only thing that matters is Pop healthy.
Yeah. Sixers, Raptors. I know where you're going, Thomas.
Sixers and 7. They're going to make us sweat.
7, Ed.
Sixers. I'm going to stay with that. I think Sixers and 7.
I'm going Raptors in 7. And then we have one more series set.
Boston, Milwaukee.
Well, we have two more. It's Raptors. I'm sorry, Boston, Milwaukee. Go ahead.
I'll go first and take Boston in 7.
I'm going Bucks.
I actually
in 7.
agree with that.
Oh, you're both going Celtics?
Sixers, Celtics is meant to be.
I'm going Bucks, Raptors to bore everybody to tears. And then the Western Warriors and Rockets. Is Steph Curry healthy? What do you say, Thomas?
Wait a minute. Does the Warriors have to beat Clippers first?
They just beat them.
Oh, so they won game?
Yeah, where have you been? Living under a rock?
Man, I was under a rock last night.
Jeez.
I'll take the Warriors in that one still.
Going Warriors in 6.
I'm going Warriors in 7.
That'll do it for High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com and Larry King Law. Engineer and Accident, call 757-INJURED. For the coach, Ed Young and Thomas Simmons, I'm Matt Hatfield. We'll talk to you next Saturday in May. Coming up next, NFL draft coverage on your home for draft. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.